right, hello wine drinking people. Back now with more of what I've had to drink yesterday. And if you've been watching our rigorous schedule this year, you know, man, we have been drinking a lot here at the Wine Watch and trying to cover all the events. As a matter of fact, I made a New Year's resolution to take pictures at every event, and unfortunately my iPhone 5 was being used as a music device last night, so I didn't get any pictures of our good friend Roberto Diamonte from Malvira or Giorgio Rivetti from Spinetta, but hey, man, I can cut and paste stuff off the internet, these guys, all day long. There's plenty of pictures up there of them. And, you know, those of you that know what the Wine Watch courtyard looks like, our tasting went on outside in the courtyard. A beautiful setting this time of year. We try to do as many tastings as we can out there. And, you know, these guys really delivered with the goods last night. Some great stuff on the table. We've had a lot of great tastings with Giorgio over the years and with Roberto. I remembered, we had a killer tasting with him that featured one of his wines no longer brought in this country, treuve, which was just fabulous. And this is a white wine that ages. Malvira known for being one of the greatest producers of white wines in the Piedmont from the Roberto district. And, they make like 5 or 6 different single vintage Roberos and some other Arnais and other, other whites like Favorita and stuff that you just don't see. But what an amazing winemaker, an amazing person, Roberto. He even met some of the other people that had been to his winery. Several people at the event last night had visited La Spinetta and Malvira, so it was like a nice homecoming type event. These guys were glad to see some of the people that traveled a far distance to make it to their wineries. And Giorgio, like I said, we've done a lot of events with him. La Spinetta, we have every wine from them on the shelf here. Everything they make is worthy of being in our store, and I'm willing to take it home and drink, and that's the only caveat we have to buying something here. The latest acquisition, Contratto. This is the oldest sparkling wine label in the Piedmont, and Giorgio and his family love champagne and sparkling wine, so the writing was on the wall. Initially, eventually they were going to add a sparkling wine house. This wine had some lovely almond, kind of honeysuckle notes, pear and apple fruits, a bit of a yeasty, biscuity aroma too. This wine sits just the same length of time, 18 months or longer on tirage, like champagne does. And lovely amount of ripe tree fruit here. Nice complexity from that aging on the lees, kind of almond and whole flower, kind of floor notes showing all the way through the finish with nice freshness, excellent juice, and about the same price, $36 as you find a non-vintage Brook champagne. But, that's what it costs to make great sparkling wine. Malvira Roero Arnais. For some reason, I have a hard time saying that word anyways. They also produce, as I mentioned, 3 other single vineyard Arnaises, that treuve wine, and 20 other wines. A slew of great stuff being produced here. Green apple, lemon citrus, white flowers, chalky kind of minerality nuance showing through the nose. Very clean and polished bouquet of aromas. And they do a vinification similar to the way the folks in New Zealand do. So you keep that really ripe and fresh fruit here. And lots of mineral showing through on the end. And really bright and fresh, a little spritz to the finish. Excellent Arnais here. The Favorita, this is the same grape as Roll or Vermentino. And this one's got kind of a rosemary, fresh baled hay note to it, lemon citrus. Reminds me of beer a little bit when you first open it up. But very clean on the palate, and notes of those herbs showing on the finish with that light chalky mineral note. Very clean and refreshing wine, leaving the tongue salivating for food. A little citrusy, a little more citrusy than the Arnais anyways. And then the Bricchetto, which this is Berbet is the name of the wine. Bricchetto is the name of the grape. Or this is a different clone, I guess, in this area because he didn't call it Bricchetto. But it's kind of like soda pop is what I call Bricchetto. It's a red equivalent to Moscato. A lovely kind of strawberry, raspberry fruit in this wine. 5% alcohol, 12% residual sugar, so not quite as sweet as some other dessert wines. Not near as alcoholic either. You can drink a whole bottle of this wine. Very refreshing. And if you like soda pop and you don't like wine, this is a good entry-level wine for you. The kids love it. Well, my kids do anyways. They're 8 and 9. All right, Malvira Roero Nebbiolo. This is another DOC for Nebbiolo in the Piedmont. Stays a little time in French oak and made from a couple of the single vineyard wines that they have there, sandy soils. And you get a really light and elegant style of Nebbiolo from Roero here. Some red cherry, licorice spice, rose petals, light smoky aromas. Very fine and elegant wine on the palate, smooth, silky. Nice structure. Drinking nicely today, but this wine should age as well. Don't mistake the lightness in this wine, meaning it will not age, because I think you got at least 8 or 10 years in this Roero from 07. All right, moving on to La Spinetta's Tuscan stuff. New wine for them, the Vermentino, which I believe is the only wine that they purchase fruit for. Everything else is estate grown from La Spinetta. This is the typical white of Tuscany. And lovely fresh floral character to this. Green apples, white citrus, kind of grapefruits. Some gravelly, minerally notes to it. Really light and refreshing. Maybe a little bit of a rosemary kind of herb showing here too, some ginger spice and floral notes. A very good bottle of Vermentino at a very fair price, under $20. The Chianti from La Spinetta, the newest entry to this lineup, the 2007, the first vintage. This wine has lovely floral notes to the nose, lovely light red cherry fruit, some red licorice spice, some herbs here, but you really notice the pure essence of Sangiovese in this wine, that floral character and that lovely freshness it has. Similar to Pinot Noir in this case, I guess you might guess this is a Pinot Noir because of its lightness and light color, light tannins, but just a delicious, unadulterated style of Sangiovese. The 2008 Il Colorino, this is a blending grape that usually you don't find on its own. Gives a wine color and has this really dark cherry, boysenberry-like fruits and dried meats and fine herbs here. Also, a big chewy wine on the tongue in terms of tannins, but kind of short on the finish. One of the things, one of the reasons why they use it as a blending grape. You know, maybe we should have showed this before the Chianti. The Chianti had a little longer finish, but the Colorino maybe a little darker and maybe just a little bit more tannic, but not as complete a wine. The Cesana, wow, this wine is awesome. Showed brilliantly last night. A cooler vintage, a lot of dark spice, tar, kind of some dried floral notes, a really exotic bouquet, dried fig, kind of soy-like notes, black earth, kind of meaty, really complex bouquet as this wine opened. A rich and multi-layered wine on the palate with excellent structure and depth, dark cherry fruit, a host of earth and spice, and again, lovely freshness on the finish, a classic style Sangiovese from a great vintage. 2008, moving on to the Piedmont wines, we had a little Barbera, which Giorgio Rivetti and his family at La Spinetta are very well known for their Barbera. They make two single vineyard wines, Galena and Bianzo, which are among the best Barberas produced in the Piedmont. This is a Barbera di Asti, and a very aromatic wine, blackberry, kind of dark cherry fruit, fresh flowers, sweet herbs, really smooth and easy drinking style of Barbera, but still has that telltale character, the acidity, the bright freshness in this wine, cleaning things up on the finish. A very good example of their Canto Piano, the 2008. The Langhe Nebbiolo, this wine is a rock star. It is made from young vines from the Starderi vineyard, anything younger than 25 years old. Classic kind of Barbaresco bouquet, earth, truffles, light cherry, raspberry fruit, mint, some pretty floral notes too. A very fresh and lively wine on the palate with a good hand of that floral and spice notes to the end of that red berry fruit. Really excellent example of an entry-level Nebbiolo. The 2009 vintage, just a rock star vintage in the Piedmont. The Pin here, this is the only wine that's a blend now in the portfolio, and it's just Nebbiolo and Barbera. 65 Nebbiolo, 35 Barbera. The Barbera's from the Asti region. Lovely floral nuance, exotic spice, raspberry, kind of boysenberry fruit. Really a little bigger than the Barbera. That Nebbiolo has more tannic structure, but you get that lovely fresh nature of Barbera there, and then the length and elegance of Nebbiolo, creating a really unique wine with the best of both worlds. An excellent example of a super Piemontese wine. Then the Barbaresco Bordini. This is a new wine. I think 2005 was the first vintage, one of Giorgio's friends. He said he wanted to see his name in lights, and Giorgio promised him he will have his name all around the world. And, this is a great bottle of Barbaresco. I don't want to say entry level because it's just a little different from his other wines. Very floral and fruity wine on the note. Hints of kind of mint and sage to the bouquet. Red cherry, raspberry fruit. Very fresh. A nice level of concentration here on the palate. A host of spice and mint, zesty acidity, and red berry fruit showing to the end. And some tannins coming through here. This 2008 vintage definitely needs a little bit of time. It's a classic vintage in the Piedmont. You can drink this wine today, but it'll be better with 3 to 5 years in your cellar. Excellent juice. And then the Starderi 08. This is usually my favorite single vineyard wine from a south-facing vineyard in Nieve, which is showing a lot of kind of a red plum and cherry fruit, exotic spices, a little smoke, some mint, some fresh earth, truffle-like notes. Really complex bouquet of aromas here lifting from the glass. Lovely freshness and concentration on the palate with a host of that spice and nuance from the nose lasting through the finish, and that lovely, pretty red berry fruit and a host of tannins coming through, though this wine needs some time, but most excellent juice. The Starderi, usually my favorite of the 3 single vineyards from Giorgio. And then the Campebarolo. This is from Grinzane Campore. It's a village, one of the 11 villages in Barolo, and the vineyard surrounds the winery here. South-facing vineyard, a lot of lovely dark cherry, kind of fig, fruit, rose petal, floral nuance, black tar, licorice, classic Barolo bouquet, a little menthol, mint showing in there. Big and chewy on the tongue with layers of dark spice, toasty oak, dark berry fruit, really exotic and nuanced. And, this wine's really tannic, though. Barolo, you really notice the difference between Barolo and Barbaresco in these two wines. The Barolo 07, even though it's younger, showing bigger and more tannins. An outstanding vintage, has lots of everything, but needs a little time to come together for this tannin to resolve. Bravo, most excellent Barolo this 2007. And then the Moscato 2012 Bianco Spino, a lovely, well, this is what the family was first known for. You get that lovely floral peach tree fruit coming through in this wine. And then the sweetness, only 5% alcohol. Not quite as sweet as, well, about as sweet as the Burbet Berchetto, but lovely freshness on the finish, cleaning everything up. Those lovely, pretty floral orange blossom, honeysuckle notes showing all the way to the end. All right, well, that's what I had to drink with our two friends from the Piedmont, Giorgio Rivetti and Roberto Diamonte. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.